and then you actually look at the raw source material of what is being taught in the federal government, again, whether it's under the Obama administration or under the Trump administration, it really makes no difference. The permanent bureaucracy has really adopted critical race theory as their ideology of choice, and they are perpetuating these really kind of bankrupt concepts of white fragility, of whiteness, of undoing your whiteness, kind of mandatory anti-racism, whatever the most recent fad is in the kind of academic discourse. They're trying to implant it into the federal bureaucracy. And my sources within the government are telling me it is becoming increasingly intolerable. You know, I have emails coming in. People are saying they're scared for their jobs. They're scared to speak out. In some cases, they're actually being forced to stand up in front of their colleagues and say things like, I admit that I'm white. I admit that I'm complicit in systems of white supremacy. I'm here to repent. I'm here to essentially abandon my own whiteness. This is, you know, straight out of the kind of historical Marxism that has now been kind of reimagined in kind of HR speak and diversity training. But what it amounts to, and this will be my final comment, it amounts to a change in regime that hasn't been voted on, that hasn't been approved, that hasn't been supported by voters, but it's essentially a change of regime from within. You have the permanent bureaucracy partnering with these grifters, one of whom, Howard Ross, who I've done an investigation into, has billed taxpayers $5 million over the last 15 years for these kinds of trainings, specifically anti-American, specifically advocating for radical activism, and in some cases explicit Marxist programs. And you're having this operate anti-democratically, and I think it's a huge threat, because if unless we stand up to this kind of blatant politicizing of the bureaucracy, what we'll find is that in the next few years, especially if there's a change of administration, we'll find that the bureaucracy will be weaponized. Conservative and moderate voices, and even some kind of center-left voices within the federal government will be rooted out. And then the machinery that's been built up for the last century of the federal government will be weaponized against the American people. And I think this is an extraordinary fight that needs to be fought. And I'm grateful that Heritage is tackling